p.m. Pacific. But if you and it's on Saturday, but here, like I said, here's where it gets bumpy because on the bio page, it says 8 a.m. Pacific. On the schedule page, it says 8 p.m. Pacific. So as I always advise everyone, if you're in the Pacific time zone, just go there at 8 o'clock, whether it's a.m. or p.m. We will probably be there. So I just don't understand why they did. Why doesn't Brian just change the goddamn schedule? But so there is lots and lots of craziness that we can talk about, but we won't do that today. We will talk about one of the things that I have noticed, which is kind of frustrating and kind of I guess ponderous, if that's what the term you want to use. But one of the reasons why I wanted to get you on today is because there is this, for whatever reason, there are people in the content creation adult film industry who are doing these things called one of the things that I used to love this line from PR music people is they would always send me the like if I would request an interview with someone and I knew it was not going to happen. I just knew it wasn't going to happen. They would send me back a response that would say, "Oh, their schedule is so tight." Well, then when I started booking shows and I started getting around other people that had venues that were booking shows, I would realize that we'll just throw a band out there. Five Finger Death Punch shows up at the building, usually about 4. They usually go on about 9, and they don't have anything they're doing from 4 o'clock to 9 o'clock. In fact, as Johnny used to refer to them, the Mushroom Head. He booked Mushroom Head one time at the Muse Ballroom in Salina. I got to interview Mushroom Head. Well, here's the thing. Mushroom Head showed up with their giant bus at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And they had their drum people set up their drums, and they had all the guys set up all the pyrotechnics, and they did all the stuff. And from 4 o'clock till their meet and greet at 7, they played football in the parking lot because they were bored as shit.
Well, sounds to me like the schedule was tight.
The schedule was so tight.
That schedule was packed out.
They had nothing. And so now I've learned, since getting into the content creation and adult film industry, the new "my schedule is too tight" is I'm prioritizing paid shoots. And so I had to get you on today as a marketing agent, PR, all the different things that you do in the adult industry.
Yes.
Let's talk about this whole prioritizing paid shoots and all of these. I'm going to let you go.
No, I think you're right. I think there's a couple of things that kind of always happen, right? Number one is, my advice to any content creator, obviously, yes, it makes perfect sense to quote unquote prioritize paid shoots.
Yes.
Sure, we all want to do that.
I think everybody wants to make money.
Yeah, but that's not always going to happen, especially as we all know, you do, myself, and anyone, it's a matter of that scheduling with someone. The only way you're actually going to get a quote unquote I'm prioritizing paid shoots is if it's a firm up from a studio and you have a date and they say, okay, we're paying for testing, whether that's, clear or if it's TTS or whatever, and you've got a ticket in your hand. If you have a hotel lodging, Juliana Dreams is a good example. I work with her only on the PR side of the house, and she and I talk about that all the time. So that's a solid. Okay, you can prioritize that. Yeah. I think what drives most of the average content creators absolutely pardon my French here, batshit crazy, is when you have an event, and whether it's Exotica or XBiz or AVN or X3, whatever it is, there's a lot of people at one spot. Even some of those larger swinger conventions or BDSM conventions that happen to have slots associated with certain adult film stars or adult pornography or whatever, anybody from our line of work.
Yeah.
What happens is, and you got an aggregate group of people, like an entire group of people that are actually going to be showing up, and somehow or another, magically, every single content creator, female, male, trans, all seem to think that we're all going to get paid shoots when we show up. So I'm going to prioritize paid shoots. And this goes back to something I always tell people, and I think you've heard me tell this to you one-on-one on the phone when you and I talk, and so I'll just bring it to the masses here. It's 150,000 going for 100 spots.
Yes.
Not going to happen. And instead of saying I'm going to prioritize paid shoots, I've always recommended, and this, kind of comes into place, like, look, collaborate with the people that are going to be your go-tos. We all have what I call our ATFs, our all-time favorites, right? The people that we're going to work with, that we're going to enjoy shooting with, that we have a great personal relationship with, that we know, okay, we're going to collaborate, make some good content, and do it that way. Make that the bulk of your schedule. Then, if a paid shoot becomes open, you know what? If you have a close friend that you've been working with, or a couple that you know that you've been working with, or a photographer or videographer that you know that you've been working with, and you've known them for a while, and if you, email, text, give them a phone call, whatever, DM, Facebook message, whatever, and you tell them, hey, Johnny, Stevie, Tracy, whatever, I have this paid shoot from whatever, Brazzers or, Score Group or, any of those people, Hard Nutters, whatever, something.
I love that name.
Have it out there, and you know it. You know what? Your friend is going to know that that's a great opportunity. And the people that you work with on a consistent basis are going to know that's a great opportunity. Even if it's something like, hey, I've got, a shoot lined up with this person who's paying. I had that happened recently with one of the models that represent Lacey Fox. We were talking about that. Like, there's a content creator who's verified. He's, cis male. Yeah. And, it popped up, right? And, I worked to get her that, that shoot, to finalize that shoot, and to get everything down, get the numbers, get the timeline. Does that mean now that she can't collaborate with somebody at that time? Yeah, absolutely. But let's be real. That's okay, because the people that she would have been collaborating with were friends. They're going to understand, hey, do I want to collaborate or do I want to get, a good chunk of change? Yeah. That's different. And I think people say, I'm going to, if you continue to think I'm going to prioritize paid shoots, hey, that's great. But have a backup plan. Like, just have your collaborative calendar filled out.
Yes.
Have it ready to go. And then, on the flip side, have a paid shoot. If a paid shoot comes in, that's a blessing, right? I'm hating to use religious terms, but let's call it what it is. It's a blessing. And, so, hey, bless you are with your paid shoot. So you now have that, and you can move forward with that. I think when we all talk about, I'm going to prioritize paid shoots, you could end up driving yourself crazy, Jiggy. I mean, you really could. You can end up in a situation where your wheels are spinning in your head because you're going, oh my God, I got to go, and I can't afford my hotel room, and I can't afford this, and I can't. You know what? You should have paid all that away a while back.
Yes.
You know that it's not like Exotica and their team do a fantastic job of giving you a frickin' calendar, and so does XBiz. Where they're going to be and when. You know what? Buy your fucking Airbnb a year in advance. Pay for it. That way you have a refundable deposit. Get your fucking United Airlines ticket way in advance. Cheap. And then get it, and then book it. Then, as you go along, and then buy the trip insurance too on United Airlines. I'm bringing that up because that's what I use. So buy the trip insurance. That way, if you end up not going, you get the money as a travel credit. You can use it again. Ditto with the Airbnb. You know that it can back out. You have enough time. But buy it out early. And then when it comes around and you realize, holy crap, I don't have anything, then you can make a decision. I want to go for the networking, which is not a bad idea.
Yeah.
Or you can go ahead and say, all right, I don't have any paid shoots that I'm prioritizing. All right, well now fill up a collab. You've got a room, you got a house, whether you did VRBO or Airbnb. Now you got the place.
Yep.
We're talking about Peach Fuzz and her shoot house, similar like that. Right now you have a place you can stay. You paid for it already. Go out there, have a good time. Get tested if and get everything together. It doesn't necessarily always have to be about the paid shoots. I think when you focus on that, you end up, some models honestly get a lot of anxiety, and I myself and my wife, we hear it. We help them work through it. We're not licensed counselors, but I'm here to listen. That's what I do for the people I work with. The anxiety, they get slightly depressed, and then that doesn't make a very good show, because you're going to show up at these things or be at a booth or whatever. You want to be on your top mind game. So it can be a lot of stress if you just all you do is say, I'm going to prioritize paid shoots. Oh, that's great. I want to do that too. But
I want to do that too. We have got Giovanni Valentino with us today. He joins us live here on our big program, and it is the Sunday radio show, but it is also fucking around with porn stars. And we are talking about the whole thing of content creation and the filling up your calendar and being prepared and all these things for these events, whether it's an Exotica or an AVN or whatever. What other kinds of things should we be covering?
Well, I think if you're going to do that, right, I think a lot of people don't take that extra time to utilize the digital tools that we have. I mean, a lot of them nowadays, you got a lot of free stuff like Google Sheets. It's a great example. Having a spreadsheet to know when and where you're supposed to be and where you're at. Covering that ground so you can say, all right, look, I'm going to, maybe there's a cis female performer, and now you got Roger Longcock or whatever. You can get him on, and when you can collab with him, and you keep all that together in one spot. And and I think the other thing to be prepared with is, and I know a lot of us, and I know you and I do this, and I know a lot of models, we just use Twitter DMs and text messages to sort of coordinate stuff. And I'm all for that. I think that's fine. Use the tools that are in front of you. Use the communication pathway that's most comfortable for you. But more importantly is go for, good old-fashioned calendaring and emailing. And the reason why, I know that's very old school, that's very, early 2000s. Oh, my God, email. But
I much prefer email. I don't understand why these people are DMing and texting.
It doesn't work. It's a good, yes, okay, let me back that up, because I can already hear people going, no, it works fine. Here's the thing. DMing does work, but it is much better, and here's why. If you have a calendar invite, whether you use Outlook or Google Calendar or whatever your mail system is with a calendar function, and you send an actual invite out, that becomes a placeholder in their calendar. And what most people don't realize is, much like if they put, like if your doctor's office says, here's a, save the calendar invite, and you load it to your phone, and it pops up, hey, you're 30 minutes away for your, your checkup or whatever.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with this. And that way your phone has it. Now it doesn't matter if you're Apple iCalendar, if you're Google Calendar, or whatever, it knows, and the devices will ping you, and you'll have it on there. And that way you can manage it. And it also helps to prevent a performer from booking, oh shit, if you're the kind of performer that absolutely loves to reset the whole room, and there are plenty that do that, I think that's nice. You're resetting your whole room in Vegas for AVN, you're doing collabs, to book out an hour between. If you start seeing it populate on your calendar, you've only got 15 minutes, between Johnny Longcock and Johnny Loves Come, and you got those two dudes booked up, and you got this little slot. If you need more time, better to know in advance. Use those tools. And let me tell you something, working on it on Twitter DM is going to drive you batshit crazy, because then you're going to be sitting there scrolling through all these DMs like, okay, I got this guy, all right, wait, and then what are you going to do, write it on a piece of paper? I mean, that's fine if that works for you, but the fact is, having it on a device that pings, rings, and has an alarm is going to work infinitely better for you. And yeah, you can print the calendar out, if you want to, and some people do, and it doesn't hurt to have an extra, backup. But at the same time, negating email, because you're like, well, it's just so much quicker to DM and text, and I agree with you, and I agree with everyone, it is. But having that transactional record that comes all the way over through like 2257 forms, which is a whole other thing, using like quick 2257 or whatever to get those forms on. Yeah, digital's great. Have a backup print. Don't be that person where all of a sudden, all you're doing is getting the little scrolly, clock spin thing on your phone or your
the spinning wheel of death.
Spinning wheel of death, and you're like, hold on, I know I can do this. Hold on, I got my testing. Hold on, I've got my 2257. And you can't manage that, and it just looks bad. Have a backup. I know that sounds that's old-fashioned. Well, yeah, but sometimes old-fashioned fucking works, because they tell you what, I've heard of, and I have recommended to many MFC cam models who I've worked with in the past, where I was like, look, have the digital quick 2257 thing ready to go where you can e-sign it, or use, if you have a subscription to Adobe, use the Adobe digital signature and use that consent form and just keep it on file and then email everybody a copy. Take the pictures of the ID, right? And then you can even do that ahead, and you know what? Embed that damn thing in the calendar. A lot of people don't realize on like Google Calendar, you can embed a link to the form, put the form in there, have it digitally signed, so everything is saved in the damn calendar, and everybody has it. You can even upload your ID if you want to show good faith to the other party. Like, here's driver's license and 2257. Now it's in the calendar. They see it. Now they're going to be more inclined to respond in kind and to do the same thing and have it ready to go.
Yeah.
You really could you theoretically, Jiggy, do that with DM on Twitter? Sure. But it exists on Twitter, and you have to pull that shit up. And
why would you want to? That's the thing.
It's a lot of work. People don't think.
We have got Giovanni Valentino with us today. He joins us live, coast to coast, and border to border here, of course, on SkyhawkAfterDarkRadio.com, of course, JiggyJaguar.com, and if you find our videos on BitChute, Rumble, Clout Hub, and of course, every once in a while, when they allow me to do it, YouTube. It's, I literally, because we had our issues with the copyright troll over the fall months, I was not allowed to upload the porn star interviews or anyone that was in the porn industry to the Fucking Around with Porn Stars YouTube account. So I decided I would take a shot at that the other day. And apparently I can do it now. Well, what's been fun is that I've got like 25 to 30 interviews that I've been saving that I've been waiting to upload. Yeah. So one of the things that I would love for you to give me your expertise on this, because this is the one thing that always amazes me.
I cannot wait for this.
And the thing that, like when we had Bex Pineapple on earlier, she was talking about the testing.
Yes.
And I understand, and one of the things that I love about the porn industry is the testing.
Yes.
Everybody's tested. We interviewed, God, what the hell was that little perv magnet's name? Which is a term we overuse a lot in the porn industry. Because everybody's a perv magnet.
I think we all are. Yeah,
But she told me, and the legendary, fantastic, rabble-rousing ringleader, Ross the Boss, that nothing turns her on more than a clean test.
Yep.
And but the thing that always kind of freaks me out about the testing, which it shouldn't, because there's no problems, there's all the nonsense,
right?
But the thing that gets me is that, let's say for instance you go out and shoot with some chick who's
right.
tested, you're both tested.
Correct.
And then that chick decides that she's going to go shoot with me, and then she goes and does something else with some other guy. Well, the thing is between her shooting with you and her coming and shooting with me, she went to a swingers party.
Yep, that happens. that happens a lot in our industry.
That is the thing that freaks me the fuck out.
Well, it goes back to a level of professionalism at the same time. If you are a performer and all right, I've got a bunch of collaborative time and I've got some studio shoots, and then let's just say you're at AVN. I forgot the name of that lifestyle club in Vegas that's really awesome, and they take memberships from all over the country. You can register way in advance. But let's say you go there and then you play without a condom, or you play without any protection whatsoever, okay? Yeah. You're putting everybody else that particular week of your shooting at high risk. Because I think as swingers, as we all know, the unwritten rule is if you've got something, stay the fuck away from the club. It's an unwritten rule, but that doesn't mean everybody obeys it, right? So I mean, if I know I have to do a custom shoot with a cam model, my wife and I just don't even go to those things for I get tested and then I go do the work, and that's it. And it's interesting. Bex had put on earlier about, no one had heard of MGen. I think that is, I'm going to put it out there that if you go to the CDC website, MGen's been around since 1981.
Oh, really?
Yes. There is a CDC link. You can actually go talk about the first paper. It was published in 81. And I was told about it when I was at Texas A&M University because I was very sexually promiscuous, so I did like to get tested and made sure that everything down below was fine, right?
Yes.
And there was a pamphlet that talked about the various ones, and it actually recorded it as, apparently at any one point in the human population, 1.5% of the men have it and 1.8% of the women have it. Like at any one given point in time, like if you were just to snapshot the world, that's the statistical average of who has MGen. It is true that it can take up to 3 or 4 cycles to get out of your body at the max. It is also true that your body will actually naturally kill it in 30 to 45 days. So it's one of those things that apparently has been around mankind for a very long period of time. It's just that we have not had the actual really hot technology to discover it and to analyze for it until more recently. Obviously in 81 it came up because it was urethritis, pelvisitis that they attributed to it.
Yeah.
Will that happen in everybody? No. Like any other bacterial infection, all of us have certain degrees of latency to absolutely great, our bodies can attack it, no problem, defeat it, to I need help, I need antibiotics, somewhere in the middle, right? So it's really good that we're testing for it. I think what makes me upset about the testing, we talk about preparation. Obviously get tested for everything that you need to get tested for. Yes. Period. The story. I don't like the pricing. I think that this is
I think the pricing is
I
somebody's making some money somewhere.
So, and that's the thing. And here it's the law of, it's basically economic supply and demand, right? If everybody's requiring the test and we've done this much testing, why is the price still here? I get that demand is pushing it up, but if the labs are doing it more often, if the technology is getting run more and we're buying more of the tech needed to have and run the testing, and it just is doing more of it, which means that we're getting better at it, we're getting more efficient at it, you don't see, that's the reason why cell phone prices go down. That's the reason why computer prices, in anything technology, the price always seems to go down somehow or another for adult testing services. And this is the question I would want them to answer. Why in the hell are your prices always continuously skyrocketing based solely on economic demand? I can understand that. But with the technology thing, I don't get it. It doesn't make sense. And that's the part I would love to have all of them on the show together on a round table and tell all of us.
I would love to.
How the hell do you guys keep adding money to this instead of having all this tech?
Oh, I would love to. That would be that would be kind of like, God, what was it? Joe Rogan did a deal one time where he got all the frickin' all the performance enhancement testing people together. God, if we could do that on this show, that would be so much fun because
I would just like a representative of each one.
I would love it.
Dude. Our top woman, probably top woman, top man. Give me everybody that can explain to me how these pricings do this when you've had the technology for a long time. You know how it works. You're using it enough where even if you're saying, well, we have to ramp up new procedures for laboratory screening, specimen sample testing. Give me a break. You've been doing it for. Let's talk about that testing really fast. If you've been doing screening for cocaine use for people in certain jobs,
The cocaine, baby.
It's to the point where essentially a company can order it for free. How in the hell? And there's more of that going on than our testing. So how in the hell can these people be doing that? And it's essentially, I think somebody had told me, like, if you really kind of break it down to raw costs, not the actual paying of the technicians, like just the raw cost of the sample cup,
yes,
time and machine, sample kit, it's something on the order of like $12.05 or something like that. $12.05 or $15.02. One of the two. I may have the numbers mixed up. But when I heard that, I was like, so if that's almost nearly free, how are these companies? I was like, well, it's because it's done in mass. It's so much of it's being bought that the price is like. And I was like, okay, that in my mind, I'm like, if you're actually telling everybody, all right, take MGen testing, you know what? Make it affordable to those performers that need to do it, that want to do it, because all that it sounds like what's happening, and this may sound like conspiracy theory, Jiggy, so I apologize in advance.
No.
But it just
never
sounds
on
to me
this
like,
show.
I love this, but it just sounds to me like people are trying to wrestle more control from the creators, and the best way to do that is to demand all this testing at high prices. If you're going to demand all this testing, which is a good thing, let's bring the price down. Let's make it affordable for all these. Because if you got a content creator in Sioux City, Iowa, and she already has to travel to, at minimum Chicago, to get work, and then you're saying, all right, well, here's this testing panel, and for some bizarre reason, it's always cost the same amount of money instead of going down like all other testing goes down, and then you're adding more on it. How about let's work to bring those costs down for that performer so that he, she, or they can afford the testing at a reasonable rate?
Yeah.
I mean, and it's part of preparation. I hate to say that it costs so much, but it does.
We have got a great guest with us today. Giovanni Valentino joins us. And as we wrap up here, because our next guest is going to join us here in a few moments. Giovanni, how do we get in touch with you online and social media and all these things?
Absolutely. Official website is obviously sexworkpr.com. That's sexworkpr.com. Agency for representation of models is obviously modelred.agency. On Twitter is GILV. That's GILV as in Victor. And you can also find me at sexworkpr. Those are the two Twitters to that. And my phone numbers are out there. Get a hold of me. Reach out. Whether you need public relations representation or,
people have reached out to you over the last
couple
couple
of weeks. People have reached out. They haven't. But whether you need PR representation, you need agency representation, even if it's just a matter more of brand and communication guidance, you don't need a long-term contract. We take care of that too. You've met my coworker, the lovely lady that works for me, Susie, and we're here for you, and that's basically what it's about. It's about family, because like I always say, in this business, we're kind of all on our own. The vanilla world doesn't really love us, even though they watch us buy our stuff, and we have billions of dollars that we bring to the economy. But it's about a rising tide lifting all the boats. If we work together as opposed to as opponents with one another, I think we're all going to succeed much more over the long run.
That's awesome. Well, you are amazing.
As are you, Jiggy.
We did this with the previous guest. I'm going to do this with you. So just give me a couple seconds here. We are going to bring on our next guest who is going to join us, and we're going to hold Giovanni over for a couple